And we need deep states of self-introspection. And most people don't have time for that. Think about it. Ask yourself this, ladies and gentlemen. When was the last time you sat alone in darkness and contemplated your life? When was the last time you sat down and thought about what it is you need to do in your life to progress? So many of us are so caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life that we don't even have time, or we don't give ourselves enough time to sit down and reflect on what it is we're doing and where we're going in life. And that's very dangerous, because this matrix can get the best of you. It gets the best of people all the time, and I don't want to see that happen to you. We need to learn how to contemplate what we're clinging to, because what we're clinging to can bring us benefit, or it can bring us negativity, or it can keep us in a state of non-growth, so to speak. A lot of us reach a point where we hit a plateau, where we can't seem to move forward with our health, where we can't seem to progress with things like learning an instrument, whatever it is in life. We want to always progress in life, ladies and gentlemen, and always challenge the mind and challenge the body and constantly strive for more, because when you do that, that's really how you stimulate evolution of the mind. It's when you constantly give it things to challenge it. The mind likes to be challenged. It likes to solve puzzles. It likes to evolve out of states of stress. It likes to evolve out of, whether it be, you being in a state of poverty, whatever it is, the mind, you have the ability to grow out of whatever position it is that you're in life. And even if you're at a place in life where you are financially stable, you're happy, that doesn't mean that there isn't more for you, because there's always more with life, because life is an infinite experience, ladies and gentlemen. When we stop having a mission in life, when we stop challenging our mind, when we stop learning, when we start to settle down in life, that's when we start really accelerating the aging process. We feed when we settle down in life, when we retire, so to speak, that's when we really start to experience aging, because you actually believe that your life's over. I hope I'm making sense. Excuse me, you guys. I didn't get much sleep last night. But we live in a world where people believe that with every year that goes by, they're getting closer to their death. I think I talked about this in my last video, so I don't want to touch much on this in this video. But ladies and gentlemen, it is my own personal opinion based on what I've experienced with higher states of consciousness, experienced through communicating with the Enochian angels, during my first Kundalini experience. When the Kundalini energy rose within my system, it tethered me to my ancestors. It tethered me to all of the different kingdoms of my chakras, which chakras are truly the churches of God. When those chakras awakened, it tethered me to the angels, that the angelic states of consciousness that are contained in those chakras. So basically, when you awaken Kundalini, the energy moves through your cerebral spinal system, awakens the chakras, and as those chakras awaken, you attract the angelic kingdoms that govern over those chakras. And when the Kundalini energy got to the top of my head and bridged the schism between my left and right lobe of my brain, I became the androgynous individual. When male and female unite, I don't mean actually being physically male and female. This is a spiritual thing. When the right and left lobes of the brain no longer have duality, you reach a state known as Christ consciousness, and you experience the truth, so to speak. And the truth is that we always have angels around us, watching over us as we navigate through the underworld, but we just have forgotten because we no longer see them. We can no longer feel them anymore, and that's due to subconscious programming from the school and various other programming agendas that have been in play for hundreds and hundreds of years. But the angels told me when the Christ consciousness energy got into my brain and infused everything, and my heart started working in tandem with my head, the angels told me that there is no death, there are no limitations, only the ones that you put on yourself. And that is the absolute truth. We can live, in my opinion, and again, this is just my own personal opinion, but we can live past 500 years old. I believe there's documented cases of people living over 130 years old. You just don't hear about them on mainstream news. You don't even hear about them. You have to go digging for those records. But I believe there are records of people even living past 140. A man named Adam Bergstrom talks about this quite a bit on his Facebook page. He's written, I believe, over 20 books. And he's been on the Extreme Health Radio podcast multiple times. Very interesting man. I'm going to share some links of some of his work here in the near future, because the stuff that he's bringing to the forefront is really groundbreaking. But, you know, to put limits on this machine is ridiculous. There are historical records of people living past 120, past, I believe, again, 130. So 130 is nothing, in my opinion, compared to the potential that we harbor within our, our ability. In my opinion, this machine can live forever. This body, as long as it's given the right elements, and as long as the mind is clear and all the engrams have been removed and all their etch marks, metaphorically speaking, have been removed out of the subconscious mind. Because most of us have been stamped with the belief system that we are constantly aging, that we are constantly dying. People have been programmed by science to believe that with every breath that you take, you're getting closer to your inevitable death. The science programs and the mainstream media and the mainstream schooling system has basically taught you that life is pretty much just, once you're born, you die. The clock starts ticking and you're getting closer to your death. So it's just amazing to me how little hope there is. It's amazing to me how much we've given in to the beast system. And a lot of it has to do with the school system, ladies and gentlemen. The school system keeps you at a very low bandwidth of consciousness. A very low bandwidth of consciousness. And they take your young mind that is tapped into the magic of reality. Most of you, if you go back, if you remember, most of you probably had very magical childhoods. My childhood was riddled with optimism. I was always amazed at the beauty of nature. Even the smells really got to me when I was young. There are certain smells that, if I smell them now, completely take me back to my childhood and just encumber me with beautiful nostalgia. But they take your mind at a very young age and they warp its trajectory of growth. And they put you down into this bandwidth of consciousness where you're told that if you don't listen to us, if you don't do your homework, if you don't get everything done in time, you might not make it to college. And if you don't make it to college, you're never going to amount to anything. And you might become homeless and you're not going to have money. And they just fill you full of fear. They fill you full of this toxic bullshit. And unless you have a keen mind and unless you can realize that you're being duped, you will carry the subconscious programs and the engrams that have been installed into your consciousness from youth into your adulthood, all the way until your potential death. I say potential because I do believe death is a sickness. I think aging is a sickness, and I think all of these things can be conquered. And if I'm wrong, which I don't believe I am, then so be it. I'd rather be an optimist and put my time into being an optimist and having faith that there's more than just believing that, oh, I'm dying. Every breath I'm taking, I'm getting closer to my death. Oh my God, I'm going to have to work my whole life so that I can retire and have some free time before I die. This whole system is toxic. Now, in this system, there's a lot of beauty as well. But unfortunately, most people have also bought into the whole idea that nothing good comes easy and that everything in life that's good, you have to put in tons of struggle. They've just polluted the collective consciousness with cancerous thoughts and cancerous beliefs that have become some subconscious impressions and engrams on most people. I mean, how can we say that we can't live past 200 when we don't even experience over 5% of our brain's power? And that's just the brain. What about the liver? What about the heart? What about the thymus, the thyroid? When this body is awakened and illuminated through Kundalini Christ consciousness, anything is possible because you are finally, for once, able to experience reality the way you are designed to experience reality, in a state of enlightenment. Now, in a state of enlightenment, negativity, the thought of death, is absolutely laughable. In a state of Kundalini Christ consciousness, those chakras in your cerebral spinal system are reanimating your body with life and constantly regenerating the cells in your body. And the chakras, ladies and gentlemen, are very real things. These are not just hocus pocus, hippity dippity, flippity flop things that were created, or people that just came up with these things when they were on acid in the 60s. No, these are part of our physiological, biological makeup. When the chakras truly awaken, in the geometric patterns that unfold out of them tether you to the various dimensions, you are now effectively siphoning in life force from the various dimensions. You are actually tapped into the angelic kingdoms, and those angels pump you full of life. This body can actually this body and this mind can siphon in energy that completely reanimates the physical body's ability to produce its own life force. I hope that makes sense. So basically what I'm saying is that these in layman's terms, these chakras are battery chargers for the body, which is the battery. I hope that makes sense. So right now, here in this dimension, you get thrown into the underworld. You get programmed by the school system. You get not even going to get into that. But basically, you're told at a very young age that your battery has only so much charge on it, and that eventually your charge is going to run out and you're going to die and you're going to meet your creator and all this other nonsense. As if you can't meet your creator now, which is what Kundalini allows you to do, but that's besides the point. You're told, and you create this into an engram, because when you're told at a young age that you're going to die, it's a very traumatic experience. It's a subjective thought. In subjective thinking, if you read Christian D. Larson's book, Your Forces and How to Use Them, he says that subjective thinking is thinking that's imbued with emotion. And whenever you experience a traumatic experience, you are experiencing subjective thinking and subjective feeling, because it's all emotion. Trauma is very, very detrimental because it creates engrams, which are basically little trauma stamps within the mind's various levels. And these need to be removed. That's besides the point. But where was I going with that? You're told, ladies and gentlemen, that your battery has a charge on it, and that every breath you take, your battery is losing its charge. But if you exercise enough, and if you eat your cereals, and if you take your Flintstones vitamins and all your other shit, you might be able to, live a somewhat healthy life and reach 80, but it's not common, and all this other nonsense. This is all trauma based, especially when you're young. And most people, when they think of death, even when they get older, it's all based on trauma. No one wants to die. And that should say a lot right there. The fact that no one actually, well, not everybody, but the majority of the people in this world don't actually want to die. And that's, in my opinion, a byproduct of the fact that aging, we know deep down, whether we acknowledge it or not, some of us do, most of us don't. We know that aging, at least this is my opinion, I believe that aging is a sickness. It's a disease. We weren't designed to age. This body is made in the image of our Creator. We, human beings, are one with our Creator. Now, when the Creator creates things, it doesn't separate itself from its creation. We are what we've been looking for. Us and God are one and the same. This human biological makeup and the consciousness is divine. We are demigods, ladies and gentlemen, but we've been turned into shit-eater bottom feeders. And because the system knows that subconscious beliefs create reality, they know that if they fill you with the idea that with every breath that you're aging, that if you believe that, you actually create that reality through the law of attraction. We are creating and accelerating our own premature death through food, through belief, through a lot of different things, ladies and gentlemen, but that's besides the point. We are told that our battery has a charge on it. And that charge is eventually going to wear out. And when that happens, you die. And that's just how life is. And they solidify this into your mind through books, through movies, through philosophy. It's everywhere. I'm here to tell you that based on my experiences, and many people have had similar experiences, I'm not the only one in any way, shape, or form. I'm here to tell you that based on my experiences, we have energy centers within our system known as chakras. And these chakras can actually, if they're truly awakened, reanimate the body and the mind with youth. And it charges our battery. Now imagine what it would be like if these chakras were always awakened. Now the only way to actually truly awaken these chakras is through a process known as Kundalini. Kundalini, in my opinion, is the key to longevity, because Kundalini is basically the name of the biological process that awakens these chakras. Kundalini is just a term that we use to define a process of enlightenment. Now, to enlighten an organism, it has to be operating at its full potential. That's what enlightenment is. When an organism is expressing its full potential. Now, we exist in a world where we experience about 5% of our potential, and we still can live up to 100 years. Now, imagine what we could do with the 95% left if it was actually being used. I wanted to personally thank you for watching my videos and contributing to the growth of my channel. I could not do this without you, and your interest in my content is truly what motivates me and fuels my passion for making these videos and spreading my message. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wanted to remind you that this channel is a free educational tool that is listener supported, and if you would like to donate to my channel and donate to my cause, help make my life a little bit easier and help keep the lights on around here, you can do so by checking out the links in the description box below. There's a handful of not only ways to donate to my channel, but I also have links to different websites and different videos of mine, as well as my Amazon store, where you can check out a plethora of different health-related products that I use and recommend. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your continued interest in my message, and until next time, peace be with you all.